If you already know the lore about why you should never whistle at night, it's going to make the story a lot creepier. But if you don't, I could just film that in a separate video. So this story is about someone we're going to call Jake. Jake decided to rent a house out in the woods, not like a cabin for the weekend, but like rent it with a landlord for like a year or whatever. The landlord informs him that the only thing she wants to let him know is that he should never whistle at night. And all she said was that it's bad luck, just don't do it. And Jake is like, okay, sure. So Jake's living here for a few weeks. It's really nice. He loves living there. He said the only thing that was kind of weird is that, so like his backyard is just woods basically. And he said that the woods are eerily silent. Like no animal noises, no leaves moving around, no bugs, nothing. And if you know anything about Appalachian lore, or like even just lore of forests and woods, that is not a good sign. It should not be silent. When there are no animals and bugs, there's something bad. But he said he just got used to it, like it being eerily silent. And then one night, Jake and some of his friends have been drinking, and Jake gets home and decides to go out on his back porch and test the superstition because he's feeling brave, okay? So he just whistles like this little tune or whatever, and at first nothing happens. But then, a few minutes later, he hears that exact little tune that he whistled. It gets whistled back from somewhere deep in the woods, but it was too delayed to have been an echo. And he's like kind of nervous, but he's like, okay, it's someone in the woods messing with me. And so that's not a ghost, that's my cat. And so he does it again, and once again the tune is mimicked, but this time it's way closer. Now he is completely freaked out. And so he just quietly goes inside, shuts the door, locks it, turns off the lights, and then he goes to look out the window. When he looks out the window, because he's turned all the lights off inside, he can see the tree line. And he sees a very, very tall, shadowy figure standing there completely motionless. It had no features, just like a silhouette, but it's huge, like abnormally tall and scary. Then he hears it whistle again. But this time, it didn't sound the same. It was deeper, slower, and it was like mockingly. And so at this point, he is actually terrified. So he closes the curtains, turns all the lights on in the house, tries to go to bed and convince himself that this was just his imagination and nothing is happening. But he still couldn't fall asleep because he just stayed up all night listening for, another whistle or just sounds outside. And then when he finally starts to doze off, he hears something so terrifying. He heard the whistle, but this time it was coming from inside. As you can assume, he packed up his things and moved out very rapidly and did not go back to the house, but he did go home and look up like local legends and stuff around that area. And some of the legends for that area were that if you whistle and you hear a whistle back, people who have heard the whistle have disappeared. Of course, there's always legends like that. And some people were talking about how it is a spirit, which is pretty typical for the lore for not whistling at night. You run the risk of attracting SWs, spirits, and things like that. So yeah, don't whistle at night.